Hello, everybody. I'm Kate Foggo, and with me, as always, is Julie Hurt, and we are making light two humans being. That's right. Yeah, well done, Kate. It's only been 18 months, 2 years since we. So this week I had an incident I had this long conversation with Visit Scotland about the word guest house because I just find it really old ladyish, but they couldn't really come up with an idea either. They don't like it either. But anyway, my guest house, for want of a better word, my luxury guest house. I had an incident which led me questioning what is the right thing to do. Like sometimes you're like, there are lots of options. And even when you take a breath and step back, and this is one of the things I struggle with, making a decision about things like this, because there's so many pros and cons and I probably overthink it. But, this is after consideration when you're still not sure what the right thing to do is. It may touch on boundaries as well, because I suspect there's an element of why I don't want to do some of the options. But we'll see how it goes. But for the time being, we'll summarize it as doing the right thing, I think. So, yeah, Julie, shall I elaborate?
I think you need to.
I was saving this up because I'd messaged Julie with a sort of vague outline of it for this is something I think we should. And of course, Julie came back with advice which was absolutely everything that I had agreed with, and then gone, yeah, but. So, so in summary, very young couple, didn't even have a car. Sorry, I live in the middle of nowhere, and all over my guest information is you will need a car because you just can't go in. I mean, they could walk to the village and get a pint of milk, but that's about all they'll get there. And there isn't really public transport unless you really knew what you were doing and planned it, and only goes one, all of that. But that's fine. They got dropped off. They weren't from that far away. They had a very, very young baby in the car that was obviously going back with whoever dropped them off. And they were all being very sweet, saying goodbye to. So very young couple, very sweet, she was very charming. Just looked like, and I just thought, young couple. It wasn't their first holiday after the baby, it was their second apparently, but I just thought they're just going to want to veg out for the weekend. Very sweet. Didn't see anything more of them than the first night. And she just sent a chit chat text about how beautiful our cat was, and it was a bit back and forth about how lovely Sally was, and I'm like, yes, she is, but don't let her in. Don't let her in the guest house because not everybody likes cats, But and it was sweet. And then the next day she'd said they couldn't work out the hot tub and could I come and help? And I said yes, fine. And as I was walking downstairs to help, and this is about 9 o'clock in the morning, she said, and also how far is it to the village? Because we don't have any milk. So I took them some milk. And when I knocked on the door to give her the milk, it was obvious they weren't ready to use the hot tub. So anyway, turns out when I did go in eventually, after sort of saying, well, there's no point me helping you until you are ready to get in. It's a fire. You need to be paying attention to it. She said, oh, I'm having trouble with the hob. So I went in, and she couldn't work the hob. Now, it is a halogen, and I suppose if you've never had one and you've never had a touch thing, it's not obvious. You probably don't even know where the buttons are. So I understand all of that. But as I was showing her,
what's
halogen, like a ceramic top for cooking on.
It's called a hob?
What do you call it?
Probably a cooktop or
cooktop.
I don't know what it's called. I don't know what those are called. A hot plate. We would probably call those a hot plate.
Right. For me, a hot plate is more.
Oh, you froze. Okay.
Yeah. Portable. Anyway, we call it a hob. But yeah, the thing you put saucepans on.
Yeah.
So it's a halogen one, so it's touch only controls. And if you haven't had one, fair enough. It's not like gas where it's obvious how you turn it on. But I could smell weed when I went in, not smoke. I couldn't smell smoke, but I could smell weed. And I said, and I was surprised at myself because I actually didn't even think about it. I didn't have time to worry about whether it was appropriate or not. I just said, have you been smoking in here? And she looked really taken aback. She said, no, we're going outside. And I'm like, fine, okay, maybe we're just smelling weed off their clothes or whatever. But it was obvious she was stoned. It's not obvious. It appeared to me that she was, and I thought, again, does that matter? Like the amount of bottles I have removed from that guest house, of people drinking alcohol. I have had people seriously drinking. So why would I judge someone who's had a bit of weed? Do you know what I mean? It's like it's stupid. But I'm thinking, I don't want you using the fucking hob if you're stoned, which again is stupid. But it's just all that, oh, you're going to burn my house down. So, but it's obvious she cannot follow what I'm doing. And I was just like, I have to leave now because I've shown you, you're not getting it. Me showing you again. She almost was expecting me to cook it for her. You know, so because I got the pan out and put the pan on and I put the oil in, I was like, look, right, that's it on. And I was like, I'm not doing anyway. So I left. And then later on, I went to help in the hot tub. All of that, and it was fine. And of course, I'm sitting there like, oh my God, and they're going to trash the place and they don't know, burn it down, all of that. And anyway, they left. I don't think they used the hot tub. They said they did, but I don't think they did because I think the fire, I saw the fire was on for about a couple of hours, but anyway, it doesn't matter. They left, and actually it was fine inside. It smelled of weed. Without exception, I would say I would stake my life on the fact that they had been smoking weed in the bathroom. I couldn't find one of my saucepans. I'm like, who would take like a saucepan without the lid? And I found it in the bathroom, so I think they were using it for an ashtray or something. So they're obviously dipping water because, like, why would you? But so it smelled of weed, but it wasn't overpowering in the sense that I wasn't concerned that the smell wouldn't go away. But that's annoying because it's obviously they have been smoking in there, but no harm done. But they take my shampoo and conditioner, and I was like, well, do I taste it? And then so going through all of this, I'm like, I am now judging her because I think she was stoned. So now, am I overreacting to this? They are very young. Do they not understand that they're not supposed to take the shampoo because I have refillable? And to be fair, there is shampoo, conditioner, hand cream, hand soap, and moisturizer, and they had just taken a conditioner and shampoo. But that's 20 quid's worth of stuff, right? I mean, that's a lot of money for a small business to lose just because somebody fancied it. The irritating thing is it's the bottles that are expensive. Like I refill them, but buying the new bottles, if she were to buy them, it would cost her 20 quid. So I can forget all of it, right? It doesn't matter. But as an Airbnb host, I cannot review her and not say that I think they were smoking. I'm actually less angry about the weed because it had been pissing with rain and it didn't really smell badly. But I would sort of feel I would have to say to them, I would have to feel them out and say, you know, whatever you say, I know you were smoking in the bathroom and I would really rather you hadn't, and other hosts may not be as accommodating, and I technically could charge you damages. And you know, you're not supposed to take shampoo and conditioner. I can't find a way of doing that isn't patronizing and judgmental. Because, and then I think, well, what do I do then? Do I just not review them? Like, I've changed a bit now because now I'm a bit angry. At the time I wasn't as angry. It's more like the conundrum of, is it my job to educate them? Forget the weed thing. They know they shouldn't have done that, right? Everybody knows that A, you shouldn't have been, it's illegal in this country.
That's what I was going to ask you. What's the legal status?
So I don't need to point that out to them.
Yeah.
Right. So I not even that. There's a bit of me that wants to go, I know you were smoking in the bathroom. I don't care what you say. But that's just my ego going, you know, you can't fool me. It's not really relevant. I don't need to tell them they shouldn't have done it. It doesn't really matter whether I know or not. But about the shampoo and conditioner, is it my job I either write to them and say, you took the shampoo and conditioner, do you realize that's £20 worth? And you know, again, unless I'm charging them for it, what is my basis for doing that? And I feel like I'd have to if I was going to leave them a review and see how they responded. If she emailed back and said, I'm really sorry, I didn't realize, whatever, now I know, please let me pay, I said, no, that's fine. And I would have left them a good review because then I know she's not going to do it again.
No.
But if I do that, I'm triggering the possibility for them to leave me a bad review because they know that I might leave them a bad review. And that's how it works in Airbnb, and you can't change it. It probably doesn't matter. I've probably got enough good reviews. It doesn't matter. And then again, I'm like, does it matter, Julie? Is this just all ego?
So Danielle, our teacher, talked yesterday at some point. I don't think it was in our webinar. I think it was in another conversation I had with her, was about boundaries are just my operating system. Instead of, there was another word, and it got into the conversation like that we had last time about, do I defend this boundary, or is this is where I am, you cross it and I realize, oh, it's crossed and it's raised a flag, and so work through the flag kind of thing. And so she just said, this is just my operating. She called it operating system. And I thought that was an interesting way to say it. So
explain that.
yeah. So if your operating system is, I am renting out my shed for you to use. My operating system says there is no smoking on within the walls of the shed. You do not take the, because then, if you take my out of it and do the, to me, sometimes that helps with the ego. You do not take the toiletries as I'm doing, they're refillable, and it's the way to do it. That's my operating system. I just put some rules in place. I'm allowing you to rent the shed. You are paying me for my structure and the use of my structure, and I will make sure I will rise to the occasion and make sure that you have as best a time as you can with what I can offer. It's just my operating system also requests that in return you do not smoke and you don't take my stuff. And I think in that regard, I think you have the ability, and I think, because I know when I emailed you back the other day, I said I would just instruct them, because I do think, and you don't have to be patronizing about it, but I'm just like, hey, there's a couple rules that I have with the shed. I really don't want you smoking inside, and I can tell that you did. And I don't want you to take in the toiletries, and you did. And that cost me this much money. And I think you can say that.
What is the point of me saying that? That's the thing. Like, unless I'm demanding money for the toiletries, the only genuine reason for me to tell them that is because they're young and they may not realize that these things are not to be taken home. However, I spoke to my representative young person on Monday. I don't know how old she's at early 20s or whatever. And she went, God, no, absolutely. If it's a 500 milliliter, there's no way you would expect to take it. Because I was like, oh. Now, interestingly, the other lady I spoke to there, who was, I know, playing devil's advocate, but very interesting, but she said, why wouldn't I take the toiletries if you provide them for me? And I was like, well. And I must admit, when I first got refillable, because refillable is a new thing, it's a whole eco brand thing, isn't it? It's like, right enough, in our day, you wouldn't have got that, and you probably would. You didn't get 500 mil, but we've all taken toiletries from a hotel.
I have a closet of them, but they're the
exactly ones. So that's the thing, and that's what's interesting. So that's really where I was coming from, is like, is it my job to educate them? So I agree, I can say all these things, but to what end, Julie? What is the point? Other than me having a need to educate them, do I have a responsibility to educate them? I think we both know, no, I don't. Is it for the greatest and highest good that I educate them? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. It will make me feel bad, because there is a bit of me that, naughty girl, and a bit of me that wants to go, I fucking know you were smoking in my bathroom, whatever you were saying. Don't take me for a fool just because I'm older. And that's all ego. If you take all that away, what's the point in me saying anything?
Yeah, to me, the tone and that energy around it absolutely is ego. To me, it's like, if I were just to explain to you my operating system, like, hey, these are the rules. However they react is how they react. If I have no attachment to the outcome, if I have no attachment to their reaction, I've still just expressed, here's my operating system, my boundaries. I don't want you smoking in the place, and you did. And I didn't want you taking the toiletries. And if you have to update like the website or the page on Airbnb about, hey, toiletries not to be taken, or you put a pretty little calligraphy sign.
I hate people that leave little notes everywhere.
Okay.
It's luxury. And to be fair, I've never, ever, ever, ever in 2.5 years of operating had to explain to somebody that they weren't to take the toiletries.
Yeah, for me, I would just say, okay, FYI, here's the dealio. I would have, you're not to smoke, no. However they respond is how they respond. And even if they don't respond, they don't respond. And you don't have to do it as like this, just like wanted to let
you know. Point?
I feel like for me, it would be that reiteration of the operating system one. Two, I do think that part of the disconnection of humanity, or the breakdown of humanity, or whatever you want to call all the bullshit that's going on right now, is that we have forgotten how to work together. So, and we've gotten so worried about, we've gotten so worried about saying something to somebody because we'll either get sued or we will offend, or there's reasons to make sure we're not offending. I'm not, but we, like, even me backtracking that a little bit, like,
Yes.
we used to look at somebody, another adult, when we were kids, and call them, at least this is me growing up, and call them Mr. or Mrs. blah, blah, blah. And then we moved to California and everybody's on a first name basis, and then all became lackadaisical, which that's okay too. But this ability to, like, even if we look at elders, this culture doesn't respect its elders. We prefer to put them away somewhere.
Yeah.
I know. And not, I grew up that way. We don't keep our elders close to us. We don't respect the wisdom that they have. You know what I mean?
I have to take exception to that. Our society does not give us the means by which we could care for our parents at home.
Yeah.
Right? Because yeah, I don't feel any guilt at all. It took me a long time to get to the point.
No, and you have yes.
No, but even if she didn't have dementia, I do not have the bandwidth to take care of my mother, full stop.
Look at, we've put our value system in something, in money, or I would say money and power is what we value, versus, I was just listening to a podcast on time, which is a whole different topic, which we won't go in there, but we value different things that have, to some degree, added more stress.
Yes.
Fractured us. We don't help. So I look at it as, just, for me, it would be,
it takes a village to raise a child.
Takes a village, like, and we've forgotten the village part, and it's not a big deal. Here's the thing, it feels much more like you're more, I'm going to say this, it's more about, you're more worried about, and I'm not blaming or judging, it feels like there's more of a worry about what they could say, how they would,
because I don't want a bad review, because that can hurt my business, and that's just spiteful on their part, and people do that.
I know. However, if the thread of the reviewing is available to those who are looking, then it's not going to matter.
But it doesn't. They will leave me a bad review. I have the opportunity to comment, but it affects my statistics as a host.
I know.
And I don't think they are bad people. They were not bad guests.
So why not just reach out to them privately and just say, hey.
That's the thing. If that's all I'm going to do, though, I will do that after the review window has closed.
Oh, so but what if you still leave them a decent review? Like, what if, because can't you review them first?
Well, you both review privately. You won't see what the other person has written until after it's published. But if I leave them a review, they will then get another reminder. Kate has left you a review. Here's your opportunity to comment.
So the review, so it's like there's a lot of practice of not attaching to the outcome. So, and not attaching one to the other. You know what I mean? Because they're all.
I do, but if I'm not attached to the outcome, I shouldn't be having this conversation. Doesn't matter what happens. So what? So I lost 20 quid, and I've accepted that. That's what I'm saying. Doing nothing is always an option, right? The only reason I feel that for me to get in touch with them, other than educating them, is to fucking tell them off, which is all ego.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
Well, that's it, really, isn't it? That's all. Or it's so why do it at all? Why not just walk away from it? But that's the thing. Is it the right thing to do? Because I don't want them to go to somebody else's apartment and steal a soap.
Right, exactly. So there's that aspect too, the connectivity that we all are. I mean, for me, and I have my guides here just to see. They're reminding me that yesterday I had a reading with a young woman who has a talent for building for creating a lot of responsibility for herself and then hiding behind it and then not doing anything for her. So her animals helping her realize what responsibility is hers, what is not hers, and then also putting herself first. So I thought that was interesting because they're reminding me of that, because I'm like, okay, well, in that vein, what is your responsibility? You know, for me as a human, I would be fine with just saying, just sending you an email, not going to affect my review. Doesn't even matter. You don't have to say that. Just telling you, I'm just going to tell you this. Do with it what you will. I do not care. For me, it helps. For me, it would be my little payment into that connectivity, that network, that elderhood, that whatever. That's all. Then the review is the review. If you appreciate them as guests for the greater, for the most part, then the review is the review. And to detach the two, I
can't, because part of the review is you smoked weed in my house, and you stole my stuff.
You have to put that in the review?
No, I don't. But see, this is what's changed in a few days. At the time when I spoke to you, I was still along the lines of, so they're young. But then the other part of me knows that I actually wouldn't want them back, because this is a prejudice, because I know that people drink huge amounts of alcohol and are probably far more dangerous. I don't want stoned people cooking in my house. I don't want pissed people cooking either.
Yeah.
So,
do you have the opportunity to keep them from booking again?
I just would refuse their booking. I would refuse their booking.
Oh.
So I have to I don't know how to put this. I forgot what I was going to say, but if I'm going to leave, if I want the system to block them, I would have to leave a review. So I cannot leave a review and then just send an email afterwards and just go, just for the record, you shouldn't have taken my stuff, and don't smoke weed in someone else's house. I could have left a nasty review. I didn't, to give you the benefit of the doubt, but just know that you should not be doing those things. I can do that. It feels patronizing, but I can, that, nobody gets hurt. Yeah. Or I can leave them a review. I don't feel comfortable unless I've had the conversation with them about, you took my shampoo. Oh, I'm so sorry. I really didn't mean to. And you shouldn't have smoked weed. There's no point even having that conversation, because they said to my face they weren't. And I know they were.
Smell it. And you could smell it.
Yeah.
And your pot was in the bathroom. Did it have ashes in it?
No. Oh. But why was it? And why would you take a saucepan into the bathroom?
I don't know. So, but what's interesting to me is that you have the opportunity to connect with them in a way to hopefully, no attachment to the outcome, but your intent is to reinstate your operating system and potentially teach them something. Maybe that's up to them. But the other thing is that you also feel like you have a responsibility to tell the greater Airbnb community that, hey, this is what these guys did. And at the same time, there's worry about the review that they could leave.
Actually, if I'm honest, I'm probably not that worried. They have no reason to leave me a bad review unless I bring up this conversation beforehand. And that's the thing. I want to leave them a nice review, but I would only do that if I had stated, and I wouldn't bother with the weed thing, but I would say, you took my stuff. And if she came back and said, I'm really sorry, because it's possible that he just put it in the bag, like, oh, nobody will notice.
It was hers, yeah, possibly. Yeah, it's possible.
She liked the shampoo, she liked the smell of it, and he thought, I'll just take it, and just didn't think anything of it. We've all taken stuff from hotels and not realised it was chargeable. That could be. Yeah. So, but if I bring it up, that's that's then me getting into that. I'm more worried about my reviews than that, because if I bring it up and they know that I'm annoyed, and then I think, well, do I actually, if they had done anything really bad, Julie, I would absolutely leave a bad review. But the only people who have upset me but have not really done anything evil, I have just not left a review. And there's only been 2 other people in the whole time I've been hosting it I have just not left a review for.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting too to me that you felt like they were very sweet, so why not try and just have a conversation with them? Not necessarily in the vein that you must teach them, but just to say, hey, don't know if you realize this, like I'm going to have some new photography done with an animal, because I have these headshots, but I don't have anything professional with an animal. So I just reached out to this photographer that I found, and in being more open and transparent about like what I need, but also what I do for a living, like pet psychic and all that stuff. Like it's actually kind of led to some really cool, interesting conversations. And had I come at it from a different, like, okay, well, I just want the photography and we're just going to do it, I'm just going to hide behind all the things. I probably won't get I don't think I would have gotten as good of a product as I know I'm going to get now, because now we've created a discourse and a collaboration. And that's, to me, I think kind of fun. And, I keep coming back to, I'm going to go on a little political thing. FYI, part of the reason why we have divisiveness is that what they're saying, there's been some research done. There used to be get-togethers between both parties in our country, and the wives at that time, because what women would serve, which women weren't necessarily allowed to serve or encouraged to serve in Congress, but the wives would orchestrate these conversations so that the people could get together outside of the confines of the political life and away from the cameras and away from actually the building. And then they would actually have these great conversations, and they would come together and they would move things forward bipartisan wise. And those disappeared and I'm not saying it's because women went into Congress, but as things started to fall apart, I mean, women, I think, need to be there. Absolutely. But that ability to network has disappeared. And when you look at some of the legislation that has been passed, it has been when women have come together, regardless of party, and work together and move things forward. So we have this really cool power to bring people together. So there's that too.
So, Julie, what do your guides say? Because for me, I was going round and round and round about this, and I'm trying to find a way. And I'm like, if I don't want money for the shampoo and conditioner, which I don't, it's fine, whatever. I would have liked an apology, but I can live without it. I don't. It's almost like I can choose not to go there. I can choose just to do nothing. That is my right. I believe more now that I don't have to take responsibility for educating them. So that option is open to me.
I think that's where it gets tricky for you, is the responsibility for educating instead of conversation. Yeah.
Well, because the only reason I'd have that conversation is to educate them. Otherwise, why would I bother?
Well, I think the other reason is what I'm being shown as the operating system. It's just you clearly saying, hey, these were the rules that I asked of you, and just FYI, you didn't follow them.
And what?
That's it. Just make them aware. That's all. If you're not expecting anything in return, it's a practice, is what the guides are saying. It's a practice in just restating your operating system, but also having no attachment to a reply. There's no reason. I mean, then you're like, but to not do anything, the way they showed me, you not doing anything is, what they show me is like an emu with its head in the sand, or an ostrich with the head in the sand.
There's a bit of, it's not my problem, because all my life I have felt obligated, like a year ago, I would have thought it was my God-given right, duty to tell them that they've, broken my rules and that they shouldn't be doing it to anybody else.
Yeah.
Whereas I am allowing myself to go, I don't have to do this because I genuinely do not know what the right thing to do is, because there is too many motivations and they're conflicting. If there was a clear path for me, but for me, to email them with the view of, letting them know that they've crossed my boundaries, it's a bit egoic because it doesn't matter, they've gone. It'd be different if they were coming back.
Right, but there's still there's still, it's still an opportunity to practice, and it's still energy that you're putting out there around boundaries, or I like this operating system thing. There's still the energy of putting out there that, hey, this is how the shed operates. FYI, you didn't follow, just telling you. And that's it. And there's no attachment to reply. And they're reminding me of, I emailed somebody recently, I would say of importance that could help my career. And I thought, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not worthy. I can't do that. I can't. Why would I think, but I asked, if you have time, would you spend a half an hour and just tell me, like, walk me through a process of what it takes to get to work with you. And I didn't, and I realized I'm not, I sat for, oh God, a day, 2 days. Do I write this? Oh my God, they're going to think I'm nuts. They're going to think I want something. And I played like all these scenarios out in my head. And somehow I got a message from, not like from a human, but from my guides through signs or whatever, like, write it and let it go. But put the energy out there that you want this. It's like almost like you put it on your vision board or something like that. Like, I want people to not smoke weed and take my stuff. So in this situation, I'm just going to put, hey, you did this, FYI, not what I wanted you to do, and just leave it. But you've put the energy out there that helps reinforce that. And that is it. And then you do the email. Who cares if they respond? Like, I don't care if this human, it'd be lovely if this human responded to me, but you know what? I did the bit I needed to do, and that's it. And then if you want to leave a review, then leave the review independent of what any response.
I agree that, but that maybe is what the difficulty is I don't feel okay about giving them a good review without knowing how she responds to the, you stole my stuff.
So give her the chance to, just give her a chance. And maybe and the guy just went bing, bing, bing. Like, maybe that's the thing, is giving another person a chance to do something. Like, I hear them say, like, to do something that will amaze you.
Okay.
There's something in that that's a little bit of a trigger.
Because that's sort of what I was drawn to do initially. And then I got all sucked into this. Is this just my ego? Do I have to do anything? But yeah, and my feelings have got more hostile as time has gone on, because now I'm a bit like, what the fuck? How dare you smoke weed in my bathroom?
Had time to build the story up. Your ego has had time to go, oh, look at that, little bit.
How dare you? And I'm also embarrassed about my judgment about people smoking weed, because to be honest, I think it's preferable to alcohol, do you know? But
I
don't want people getting pissed in the shed either, but I can't control it.
Yeah, I mean, like, we will rent out Ned, our RV, and this gives me something to think about, because one way we won't let people, so football season is here in the United States, and that means tailgate parties, which is where you arrive hours before the game, hit lotto, possibly, but that's one thing we won't rent if you're going to take it to a tailgate party. And if you do, you get charged twice, like something like that. But yeah, but this makes me think. I personally don't have a problem with weed, and I don't have a problem with alcohol. I just don't want people operating like you. I don't want people operating things under the influence, because that's just not, like, That's just not wise on a variety of levels, but
Yeah, agree.
you're not judging. You're also looking out for the safety of them. I mean, operating the hob, I love that word, operating the hob under the influence may not have been in her best interest too.
Well, I don't think she could have. Well, no, because yeah. I suppose there's a bit as well. I was a bit, if we're honest, a bit annoyed at him because there's a young mother, very young. She's got a night away, a weekend away, and he was just lying in bed watching telly, watching football when I went in. And she was the one having to deal with everything. She was the one that had to come out and deal with the fire and all that. And I just thought, he's just smoking in bed. He's just lying in bed, getting stoned, watching telly.
Yeah.
So, there was this empathy for her as a woman to think, well, if I know that fire's not the man's job, but if he's lying in bed watching football, I'm pretty sure he was lying in bed watching football and she was doing everything else.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, that's judgment.
Yeah, not your problem.
Not my problem.
Yeah.
I have to find a way to say it without being preachy or judgy or
Just say it. Use emojis. If they're young, like,
you
hey,
stole my stuff.
like, hey, wanted just to let you know that, these were the rules and, you didn't follow them. I just wanted to see if there was, just let you know. That's it. FYI. That's it. And
Well, no, I'd have to say I haven't left you a review because, to be honest, I don't know
you don't have to
what
say
to
any of
say.
that. You don't have to say any of that because you don't want to, that means you want a reply. If you're letting go of the expectation or the outcome of a reply, all you're doing is just saying, wanted you to know, these were the rules. I noticed that they weren't quite followed. Just FYI. That's it. See what happens. That's my advice and the guides. And that way you just put it out there and then go about.
But basically, I want you to know that you should not have taken my shampoo and conditioner.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and you can tell her how much they cost, and give her and for yourself, just give her 24, 48 hours. And regardless of what happens, write your review after that period. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does. I don't know how to leave a bad review because it's
Wasn't it like stars? Isn't it the number of stars?
It is, but it's really hard, I think, you can give someone a bad, it doesn't warrant a 0-star review. She doesn't warrant, and I find that really.
I'd give them 4. I would give them 4. Excellent guess. Didn't quite follow all the rules. Depending on.
And took my star.
Say what?
And took.
Well, they didn't follow the rules.
Well, no, I think people taking stuff is quite. It can be quite serious. They may think it's only well, is it? It's just shampoo and conditioner.
But that's why I would just say it's the rules. It's not like they just stole art.
Yeah. But I wouldn't give them 4 stars for the rules. I'd only give them 1 or something because.
Oh, that's really. Oh.
Well, that's it. It seems to me like rules are like all or nothing.
Well, yeah, but the rules that they broke they didn't break shit. They didn't destroy it.
And they were very careful in the and
so to me,
and the reason I've written off the shampoo and conditioner is they didn't use the hot tub for more than a couple of hours, which means it probably saved a $5 at least in wood.
Yeah. So, to me, that's a 4-star review. Not 5 because it wasn't exemplary, but it was 4 because they broke some rules, some minor infractions. I wouldn't say that, but you know what I'm saying? It's like when I would train dogs, it's you worry about the ticket. If you're speeding and you're going 5 miles over, it's a $5 fine. But if I give you a $200 fine for going 5 over, that's a little extreme.
So in my reaching out to them, I do not mention the review.
No, just letting you know. And to me, it's almost like that's the energetic portion of what you need to do. And you've done it, you detach from it, go about, do your review. Because you feel like you want to still tell the community they did break some rules. And they're not necessarily worthy of 5 stars, it sounds like. They're worthy of 4 or 3, but I say 4. I would say 4. But that's me. I review every book as 5 stars because I love everything.
I mean, I've never given anything other than a 5-star. It's a 5-star, or I don't leave a review.
Oh, yeah, no, I would, yeah.
Because either you piss me off, in which case you're dead to me, or you're fine.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, there's probably a workaround in there somewhere.
Oh,
Well, no, on both occasions, it's been people who haven't really done anything wrong, but have made me feel really uncomfortable, and I don't want to be made to feel like that.
Oh, and
you know, one of them, they left my towels out in the dirt, and okay, they washed up fine or whatever, but it's just they were pissheads basically, and they just got really, really drunk, and they went to empty the hot tub, and I heard them in the middle of the night, and I got up, and when I turned the light on, they stopped what they were doing, and you're like, what the fuck? You know, you could have broken my hot tub, you know, you could have caused a fire, you could have all these things, and then you just don't want them, people like that around.
Yeah,
but how I don't know how to put that.
Why I just got a visual of why they were emptying the hot tub. I don't want to know.
No, but I, you know, I don't want to. Yeah, I didn't want to go in. I didn't have any absolute proof, or you know, other than leaving my towels in the dirt. There wasn't really. I just didn't want to go there.
That's just not how. That's respectful. That's respect. And if respect is part of your operating system, then absolutely they don't get a review, or they get 0 stars, or they get 1, whatever. I don't know how it works, but these people.
But I didn't want to leave a bad review because they just made me feel uncomfortable, and I don't know what their intention was. They may not, you know. I mean, it was just made me uncomfortable because I didn't know what they were up to and what they were doing, and they were obviously pissed.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to leave a bad review because I actually don't. It might have been completely harmless. It just annoyed me, so I just didn't go there. Yeah. And the other couple, she really annoyed me. She was just a real fucking know-all, if I'm honest. She kept complaining about the fire, and just like complaining that bits were dropping through. You know, like hundreds of people have managed just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Just shut your face. And she left food in the oven, and that just irritated me. Really irritated me because she was just a know-all, a real know-all. Sorry, I don't take this personally at all. That's not bad. Out of 103 guests, 104 guests, only 3 of them have ever upset me in any way, shape, or form.
This just feels
103 couples, sorry.
Oh.
That's a lot. That's a lot of people.
3 couples? 6 people.
3 couples out of 103, 104 couples.
So 6 people out of 200. That's 3%, I think.
And probably only 3 out of 206 because the spouses were probably fine.
Now you're down to, you know, point whatever.
It's a pretty good statistic.
Yeah. So
yeah, and I know I'm attracting the right types of people, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, right. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, and I will say something gentle and see what happens.
Yeah. Just hey, FYI.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. So.
There you are. See, everybody, all you have to do, all your problems solved. Come here, roll up, roll up, roll up, roll up. And on that note, Julie, you can end it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here on this latest conversation of making light, 2 humans being, and we are being hard. I will just like trying hard to be human. It's a thing. Anyway, so thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you watching us. When you do watch us, please subscribe, because as you may or may not know, Kate and I have a goal of having 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So if you can really help us out, we would so appreciate it. You can also hit the bell and you'll be notified when we have new episodes, which we try to do weekly. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. All the information on the show, anything we talked about, and any links to anything else are down below, as Kate has demonstrated. And I think that's it. And we will see you next time here on Making Light, 2 Humans Being. I'm Julie Hiert, and that's Kate Foggo. See you next time.